Overactivating the immune system, that's another big one because when your immune system's overactive, let's say we have this immunoglobulin A that's in our intestinal tract. It's also on all of our mucous membranes. So the intestinal tract's the mucous membrane. That's going to overstimulate the immune system when you have lots of IgA, and you can be overreacting to things in the environment like allergies from ragweeds and dust and pollens and mold, or it can increase your chance of having food allergies because you're just oversensitive to all the food that you are eating. Again, technically your gut, inside your gut, is actually outside of the body. And then when it gets absorbed from the brush border into the bloodstream, now it's going in. So technically you have your immune system interacting with these foods at a much, much close level where normally you wouldn't have your immune cells reacting to foods in that way. 80% of your immune system's in the gut. We have the GALT, which is the gastric associated lymphoid tissue. We have the MALT, the mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. And so when we have immune stress, that can easily interact with our foods. Next big one here out of the gate, blood sugar fluctuation. So, of course, candida causes sweet cravings, right? And so the more carbohydrates you succumb to and eat processed junk, that's going to have a major impact, causing your blood sugar to go up and down. When your blood sugar is up and down, that's going to create mood issues, perturbations in energy, because when your blood sugar goes up, you oversecrete insulin. That brings that blood sugar back down fast. When it does, you can crash, you can get irritable, you can get lightheaded, you can get moody. And then, of course, these up and down blood sugar fluctuations, when you go up, you're making lots of insulin. So as a woman, you're more likely to increase your androgens and have more PCOS. As a guy, you're more likely to upregulate aromatase and convert your androgens more to female hormones like estrogen, and you can get gynecomastia. So each sex has different hormonal consequences of fluctuating blood sugar. Next, hormonal issues. So I kind of deviated to that already. So we talked about blood sugar. We talked about blood sugar upregulating aromatase in men, which increases estrogen. And in women, more stress and inflammation we're going to have, the more it's going to upregulate estrogen. It's going to upregulate androgens in women, and it's going to lower progesterone because progesterone will pinch hit for cortisol, and progesterone will go downstream to cortisol, and it will help provide a buffer of inflammation. So if you're creating lots of inflammation via blood sugar and via candida, you may see lower progesterone and higher androgens, especially if you're surging insulin. PCOS is the number one cause of infertility in women. So it's really important to look deep at that. We'll keep on pulling that up here as we go. Okay, next is going to be just general mental fatigue, right? The more stressed, the more inflamed you are, the more you're low in your nutrients. All these things are going to impact your brain being able to function optimally, right? Especially if you're not fat adapted. Fat can be a really important fuel for the brain because you can use ketones as a fuel source for the brain. Now, if you're not eating really good fats and you're eating, let's say, poor sugar, over time, when you have insulin resistance in the brain, high levels of blood sugar in the brain can increase plaquing of the brain. How that happens is you have the enzyme, a major enzyme in the brain called insulin degrading enzyme. You can Google it. Insulin degrading enzyme does one thing: it degrades insulin. It's in the name, right? Of course. But it also cleans up plaques in the brain, beta amyloid, tau amyloid plaque in the brain. So the more you're giving blood sugar issues or blood sugar stressors, that can impact the brain being able to clean itself up and self-regulate a lot of these plaques that can happen as a result of inflammation.